right, so a few weeks ago I did an experiment to try to keep the water runoff from coming down our trail up ahead here, and we put down some sawdust because we had quite a big patch of that. The water was running down the hill and without stopping, and was creating quite a quagmire right here by the base of the trail. So wanted to show you our little experiment, see what we ended up with, and see how it worked out. So let me just turn the camera around. So here's where we put down the sawdust. And as you can see, when I was talking earlier about the other video that there wasn't any ground cover because I had run the brush hog over this ground and cut up and dispersed all the leaf material. Well, by the time I got back to film the results of our test, it's autumn, folks. The leaves are falling and covering the ground already, and it's hard to see what success we had. Looking in that direction right there to the right side of your frame is pretty much where the water was running unimpeded all the way down towards the creek over there. And over in this area by the base of the trees, it was really deep with mud. But we did find some grass was starting to grow through. I think if you can take a look closely, you can see where some of the grasses were starting to grow. And so the mud was kind of drying up. But anyways, I guess we'll follow up with this bit of experiment in the next season there. So we'll see how we get with that. But I thought I'd give you a quick update on that. It's been really rainy, and there's projection for more rain the next few days. So we need to get out and cut the grass. So we're going to be doing that today. And hopefully we're going to be able to continue to push back the overgrowth back there. We're going to really try to get the trees down at some point, but we want to get this all cut up so we can access that and prepare for a garden for next year. So we're going to go cut the grass today, and we'll see you soon. I thought I'd kind of share a few thoughts I have about cutting the grass while I have your attention. I don't know if you want to really see me spending the 2 hours actually cutting the grass, but there's a few things I've learned about grass cutting over the years that may find of interest for your as you watch me cut the grass today. One of the early ways of trimming the grass came back in ancient times, and as the Romans or the ancient cultures were developing, the best way they used to trim the grass from around their homes or their estates or their villas was through the grazing of small animals such as goats. Goats was a big way to keep the grass trimmed years ago. And as you can see behind me, goats would have a field day trimming the grass around here. As things, modern tools kind of developed thereafter, a little later on, it was the scythe, which is a long curved blade that, was on a long handle, but the blade was long and curved, and you swung it with two hands, and it cut the grass as low as you could get it. But it was, it was uneven, but it was a way to kind of keep the brush and stuff away from the homes. And back in the ancient times, it was a good way to be able to be on the lookout for any enemies that might be on their way to come and get you. I'm going to move around a little bit because the mosquitoes are a tad fierce today. So the scythe actually worked for quite a long time, from the Roman time, ancient times like that, all the way up and through the 1700s when, modern industrialization began to take place, and a guy by the name of Mr. Budding in England observed a carpet trimming machine, and he took that application and he patented the very first lawnmower, which was a series of curved blades around a single cylinder that would pull the grass towards a single cutting blade. And you'll see that similar design in modern lawnmowers even today for the multi-cutting lawnmowers that go behind tractors, etc. Same kind of design. And that modern little push mower made it so the homeowners at the time could develop and cut the grass around their own house. And so this little push mower was the thing for about 50 years, and then finally, actually for quite a while, and then finally the development of the gas-powered lawnmower was developed by a company in England, whose name I can't recall at the moment, but it was so popular at the time, the aristocracy and even the royalty found that it became very useful to improve the appearance of their gardens, and so even King Edward VII had one of those first powered lawnmowers in their garden. And the development of the powered lawnmower that cut the grass on a nice even level, was very popular with expansion of those country estates and wonderful designed gardens over in Europe. When I was in the Air Force at the time over there, we would see those intricate gardens with the grass cut and the patterns crisscross, just lovely gardens. And it was the development of this particular style of lawnmower that helped do that. In the States, the development of the lawnmower also developed along the same time, and the first patent was shortly thereafter Budding's design, which I'm not sure was not a complete slight ripoff of Mr. Budding's at the time. But with the growing industrialization in the United States, it was very similar in their timeline. And in the later 1800s, early 1900s, powered lawnmowers were developed, and really, most lawn mowing or cutting really took place, became very popular after World War II. See, after World War II, all those folks came back from overseas, expanded into suburban areas, new homes were being built, more prosperity in the country, greater industrialization, more creativity, and the development of the vertical axis gas-powered lawnmower was essentially pioneered in this country by the Toro company, and they utilized the Briggs and Stratton engine, who developed an aluminum engine at the time, made it light, easy for these things, lawnmowers to push. And so the development of a small, compact, lightweight lawnmower that could fit in the garage, the sales of lawnmowers, and also the peer pressure of your neighbors, virtually everybody got a lawnmower, and the sales went up by the millions over the first 10 years after the war into the 60s, all the way up through that. And so everybody had a lawnmower. And one of the things I remember about these little lawnmowers is that we even had one, and my grandfather, who lived just around the corner from us, had one. And as my older brother, who was cutting the grass in his younger teen years, kind of got distracted with better opportunities for employment as he got older, got part-time job, he learned to drive, and not to mention his interest in girls started developing. He was less interested in working with my grandfather to cut the grass. So my grandfather was lucky. He had 2 additional grandsons living around the corner, so he offered the grass cutting lawn mowing apprenticeship to myself, and his $5 per cut incentive was certainly helpful for me to kind of take up the task and learn the fine art of using the gas-powered lawnmower around the house to cut the grass. And so that was my first foray into cutting the grass. Learning how to cut the grass was working with my grandfather over the years. A few lessons along the way, both hard-earned when I broke his machine, and guidance from him was certainly taught me along the way. As I mentioned, we lived in England, and when we came back from the States, we moved back to Florida. And we bought yet another one of those lawnmowers that would fit in the garage kind of thing. And so we had one of those then. We didn't really need anything more than that. As you can see here, we got a bit of land that is quite ripe for grass cutting behind me. And this is only a portion of what you can see. And, which is one bit of news that was really important is that there was further development of lawnmowers. There was the riding lawnmower, which was developed back in the 1960s, at least in this country. And the riding lawnmower enabled the operator to ride actually on the machine while cutting the grass. And there was a bed that was hung underneath the deck, and so you could raise and lower it and be pretty precise with that. And so we've been pretty lucky that we were able to, one of the first things we bought here when we moved to this property was a riding lawnmower. And plus that riding lawnmower I bought 4 years ago, it's still working, and I take it into the shop each year to ensure that it's taken care of. And I really beat that thing up. You know, as I mentioned before, you know, a lot of this space that you see behind me in the camera was all overgrown with weeds, knotweeds, brush, you name it. And I used that lawnmower to kind of inch my way through it all, to push it all back. Used it much like a brush hog or a flail mower. Run over a fair share of my found rocks and logs and even metal objects, and destroyed the blades, and had it repaired a couple of times because I ran over something I shouldn't have. But thank goodness for the rotary riding lawnmower. It's been a great help to us here to kind of develop and expand the area around the house. You know, this area around the house, you know, was like I said, was a farm at one point. And you know, a descendant of one of the earlier owners of the property sent us a picture of an old picture taken up from the top of the hill up over that way to my left. And it was taken from just the top of the hill looking down on the house and the barn, which would have been right behind me. You see that culvert over there? That was the drain from the barn, which went out from underneath the barn. So the barn was essentially right behind me. And what you notice by looking down at that picture from the top of the hill, looking down on the house and the barn, you notice there are absolutely no trees in the area. And if you take a look at what's behind me here, there is nothing but trees all the way up the hill, all the way behind me. And so it was this kind of overgrowth that we're trying to reclaim the land a little bit, kind of get a little closer to being able to use the land as a working farm, at least to kind of supply grow some own food for us, maybe things like honey, have some bees, make some maple syrup, share with our friends and family, just to kind of get more connected to the earth and connected to the land. So being out in the woods and in the forest is really calming, sensing, just a very positive experience. I've always had that, and I'll talk a bit more about that on our next video. But I hope this wasn't too boring. I'll break this up a little bit. Hopefully, I broke the text up a little bit for me, the video of me cutting the grass around the house. But I certainly thank you for joining us, and please come back. You can always hit the like button, and we'll see you the next time. Thanks for joining us. Take care.